Helen Duncan, born Victoria Helen Macfarlane on November 25, 1897, in Cowlander, Perthshire, Scotland, emerged as one of the most controversial figures in British spiritualism during the early to mid-20th century. Her notoriety peaked during World War II when she became the last person to be imprisoned under the Witchcraft Act of 1735. Duncan's life and trial offer a compelling narrative intersecting spiritualism, legal history, and wartime paranoia. Victoria Helen Macfarlane was the daughter of Archibald Macfarlane, a slater, and Isabella Rattray. From a young age, she exhibited behaviors that unsettled her peers and family, including making dire prophecies and displaying what was described as hysterical behavior. Her mother, a devout Presbyterian, found these actions particularly distressing. After completing her schooling, Helen worked at Dundee Royal Infirmary. In 1916, she married Henry Duncan, a cabinet maker and war veteran who supported her purported paranormal abilities. The couple had 6 children, and Helen supplemented the family income by working part-time in a bleach factory. By 1926, Helen Duncan transitioned from claiming clairvoyant abilities to practicing as a physical medium, conducting seances where she professed to materialize spirits of the deceased through the excretion of ectoplasm from her mouth. This practice attracted both followers and skeptics. In 1928, photographer Harvey Metcalf attended a series of seances at Duncan's residence. During these sessions, he captured images revealing that the so-called spirit manifestations were fraudulent, involving dolls crafted from painted papier-mâché masks draped in old sheets. These photographs cast significant doubt on Duncan's authenticity. Further scrutiny came in 1931 when the London Spiritualist Alliance, LSA, investigated her methods. Analyses of her ectoplasm samples indicated they were composed of cheesecloth, paper mixed with egg white, and lavatory paper. To test the hypothesis that she was swallowing and regurgitating these materials, the LSA committee administered a tablet of methylene blue to Duncan before a seance, a substance that would have colored any regurgitated material. Consequently, no ectoplasm appeared during that session, reinforcing suspicions of deceit. Duncan's most infamous episode occurred during World War II. In November 1941, during a seance in Portsmouth, she claimed that the spirit of a sailor informed her of the sinking of HMS Barham, a Royal Navy battleship. The Admiralty had kept this information confidential, disclosing it only to the relatives of the deceased and withholding a public announcement until late January 1942. Duncan's revelation alarmed the authorities, prompting concerns about potential breaches of national security. Investigations into how Duncan acquired this classified information suggested that she might have learned about the sinking through unofficial channels. Researcher Graham Donald posited that Duncan lacked genuine psychic abilities and had likely obtained the information through leaks. A subsequent inquiry revealed that a secretary to the First Sea Lord had inadvertently disclosed details about HMS Barham to Professor Michael Poston of the Ministry of Economic Warfare, who mistakenly believed the information was public knowledge. Authorities grew increasingly wary of Duncan's activities, fearing that her seances could inadvertently or deliberately compromise wartime secrets. On January 14, 1944, 2 lieutenants attended one of her seances. Lieutenant Worth reported that a white-clothed figure claiming to be his deceased aunt appeared, but he had no such relative. Another figure purported to be his sister, who was alive and well. Dismayed by these inaccuracies, Worth reported the incident to the police. A subsequent seance on January 19, 1944, was raided by undercover police officers. During the session, as a white-shrouded figure materialized, officers intervened and discovered it was Duncan herself draped in a white cloth. She was arrested and initially charged under Section 4 of the Vagrancy Act 1824, a minor offense. However, given the gravity of the situation, the charges were elevated to include Section 4 of the Witchcraft Act 1735, which addressed fraudulent spiritual activity and was triable before a jury. Alongside Duncan, 3 associates were charged: Ernest and Elizabeth Homer, operators of the Psychic Center in Portsmouth, and Francis Brown, Duncan's agent who assisted in organizing seances. The indictment encompassed 7 counts, including conspiracy to contravene the Witchcraft Act, obtaining money by false pretenses, and the common law offense of public mischief. The trial commenced at the Old Bailey in March 1944 and garnered significant public attention. The prosecution contended that Duncan exploited the bereaved by feigning the ability to contact deceased loved ones, thereby committing fraud. The defense, however, presented witnesses, including historian and senior Freemason Alfred Dodd, who testified to their belief in Duncan's authenticity. A contentious aspect of the trial was the judge's refusal to allow Duncan to demonstrate her mediumistic abilities in court, which the defense argued was crucial to establishing her legitimacy. Despite this, the jury returned a guilty verdict on the primary count, leading the judge to dismiss the remaining charges as alternative offenses. Duncan was sentenced to 9 months imprisonment, Brown received a 4-month sentence, and the Homers were bound over. The trial's outcome elicited varied reactions. Winston Churchill, then Prime Minister, expressed dismay at the proceedings, penning a memorandum to the Home Secretary, Herbert Morrison, criticizing the allocation of resources to what he termed obsolete tomfoolery. Following her release, Duncan resumed her activities as a medium but remained under scrutiny. In 1956, during a seance in Nottingham, police intervention reportedly caused her physical distress. She fell ill shortly thereafter.